every article, researchers have affiliation and they change them, and usually migration is considered through this. So this research every article researchers have okay. So sorry. Uh, so yeah, general studies of scientific migration are based on this big data things, and uh, Akbaritar collected all the Scopus articles and traced the carriers by affiliation, but it won't work for us because most of the researchers from Russia they changed their place of work and have not yet published a lot of papers in that. So we have chosen another way. So yeah. There have also been some studies on the impact of war, and most of them uh, are made that we basically refer to are based on the impact of Nazi regime on Germany, and basically it's like Fabian Waldinger studies that unfortunately was not able to join us today due to unexpected circumstances. So yeah, there have been shown that there are some negative effect of the migration of senior scholars on the PhD student outcomes. There is a mixed effect on the colleagues because when you have less people to work with, you actually lose something in your life. And there is also a negative effect on scientific productivity. If we talk about Russia, social sciences have experienced significant growth over the past 15 years. Largely, it was possible because of the excellence program and the low baseline after the collapse of the Soviet Union, which basically didn't have any social science in our today's term. There also been some findings about how Russia turned from brain drain to brain circulation when researchers started to um, not just to migrate from Russia, but acquire positions and then come back and continue their work uh, with the people they used to work. So and the there was found it was found that uh, that Russia accumulated human capital and social sciences, but everything has changed since the outbreak of the war, and there were two studies which I referred to. Basically, is the impact of war on science in Ukraine, and the major issue that Ukrainian science now face is the loss of human capital, of course. They also been found that like 22% of uh, of top universities encountered problems with the damage to their physical capital because of the Russian aggression and bombing of the cities. So, and also it was a decline in international scientific cooperation because before the war, one of the major partners for Ukraine was Russia. So it hasn't not been studied empirically yet how war affected Russian science. This research or more like essay uh, or I don't know qualitative qualitative study tried to tackle. And I think that something that we can find when we talk with Russian scientists, social scientists, uh, is that is a severance of the ties with the West, and actually these ties and cooperation has been a major driver of that growth that became possible. Uh, and also they highlight some challenges connected to censorship um, and general change um, of the priorities of Russian state. Can you please proceed to the next slide? So our research is based on the database of the articles which were published in core in the journal that is indexed in the core of Web of Science in the field of economics, sociology, and political science. We took all the articles where authors had an affiliation with Russian research organizations. And we see that like in general, there are about 3,500 articles in English published in journal indexed in the core of Web of Science, but majority of them was published after 2007. And it's coinciding with increased investment in science by Russian government. Uh, it was shown that the majority of this publication was a result of significant growth driven by uh, 500 500 program that is basically Russian. It's called I think in English it's called Russian Excellence Program. And the main incentive there was financial bonus for scientists who publish in journals, who publish articles. So because of this, we decided that we can study only the authors of the publication from 2007. And there are 1,600 authors with Russian affiliation. So can we please proceed to the next slide? But the problem is, who is a research scientist? And also, if you want to study migration, we should adjust on the origin of the researcher, because it's obvious that for people who are not from Russia, migration is easier for them. So we took a random sample of all these authors and decided to uh, find who of them can be considered as a research scientist of Russian origin. So we revealed that like 1/5 part uh, of our sample are foreign-born researchers, and we cannot consider them as Russian scientists. Also, we found that 6% of the people are students who publish their theses. But there were also some researchers that were engaged in malpractices, like publishing in predatory journals, because it actually can happen if one day you decide that you do not want to pursue a normal scientific career, but want a financial bonus for publication, and you start to publishing in low quality journals. So we we excluded them from our analysis. There were also some researchers with other research profiles, so those who had a lot of publication, but of they didn't have a lot of publication in social science. It can happen if, for example, a sociologist write an article with an epidemiologist, and basically he works in kind of life science, but one of his article is indexed in a social science journal. We also find several non-scholars, so because sometimes people publish articles when they work in industry. So we can proceed to the next slide that actually that actually uh, gives an idea of the composition of the sample. So only 62% of our sample at the end decided uh, can be attributed as research scientists of Russian origin. So I think that we can proceed to the next slide as well now. It's a plot where we can find uh, how inflow of the research scientists works. Of our sample, so it's the first publication of each research scientist from our sample, and we see that actually it somehow resembles the general trends. We see that like from 2020, we have a decrease, but it can be attributed as well to the fact that some of the researchers started to publish their second or third publication, because like most of our sample, as well as Russian research scientists with publications in core web of science, started to publish in these kind of high quality journals just from the beginning of the of of 10th, yeah, of 10th. So can we proceed to the next slide, please? So we also found that there are only three ways to quit Russian academy. So basically you can migrate. Basically it's to acquire a position outside of Russia, academic position. You can quit academy, so just to finish your academic career. And we judged on it when we found, like, I don't know, LinkedIn profile of someone um, with an academic publication. And for now, the least popular option is death. So only 3% of our sample have died to the beginning of the 2024s. So yeah, let's proceed to the next slide. Here we can see the dynamics of the immigration from Russia, and we see that from 2021, there had been a dramatic increase in the migration. And this line that up the upper line, it's a trend of the inflow of the researchers with the publications in core web of science. And we see that since 2021, we have a decrease. And at the same time, we see that migration has dramatically increased. And given that we have the difference between the predicted and like normal dynamics of migration, we can attribute like 10% of the post-war migration, 10% of all the social scientist population to the war. So I think that if you have any questions considering this, uh, you can ask them in chat. So can we proceed to the next slide, please? We also decided uh, to compare the difference between those who migrated before the war and those who migrated after the war. And we can see that the pre-war migration was younger than the migration of the people who moved outside after the outbreak of the war. So like median age uh, for like pre-war migration is something above 30. Like as I remember, it's like 31. And post-war migration, uh, on average, uh, they are 40 years old. So we actually can assume that if before the war people went or migrated to start their international career. We see that after the war, we talk about more established scientists who actually want to continue their careers that are basically international. That is difficult when you live now in Russia. So can we proceed to the next slide, please? We also wanted to study what drives migration. And we hypothesize that there are two primary factors. So the first one is an administrative position, and we have two theoretical mechanisms that lie behind them. So one is like financial incentive because it was shown that people on administrative position, they earn more than people uh, who they earn more or at least the same as people with research careers, but you have some kind of administrative burden. And in Russia, you should decide uh, if you pursue administrative ladder or research. Uh, and we hypothesize that it can be just like more difficult for people to 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 live their well-being. So another hypothesis, a theoretical mechanism is cooptation. So if you had an administrative position in 2022, on the social science department, it basically means that you are more loyal to the regime. This is more sophisticated mechanism, and here we refer to Bryn Rosenfeld's work on the autocratic middle class, and she showed that people who works in public sector and like most of the science in Russia mm, is state and public employment. They tend to be more loyal to the regime, and even they cannot support the war, but even if they don't support the war, they may be more loyal, and with this financial incentive, it should work together. So, and the second thing, scientific productivity. So it's easier for you to find position abroad if you have any high quality results. So we decided that, and it also was shown that after the rise of Nazi professors who had better results, they found position more successfully. And actually, if you have this kind of result, it means that you're somehow nested in the international scientific networks. That also makes easier for you to find a position. We measured administrative position is as everything that is non-scientific appointments. It's like center directors of the centers, rectors, deans, head of programs. But we do not consider like principal investigators like as an administrative position. And we measured scientific productivities uh, with three through three parameters. So the first one is a number of articles in core Web of Science, number of publications indexed in Scopus, and Hirsch index measured by Scopus. So on the next slide, we will see the effects. So yeah, on this plot, those factors that are in black, they're statistically significant. We used just a basic linear probability model. And those that are in gray, um, they are not statistically significant. So we also controlled, of course, for age and gender, because like the first idea that can come up to your mind that researchers who are young males, they tend to migrate more because of conscription. But we see that it doesn't work, and we also specified it separately, and there is no effect. So it's interesting because, like in general population, we see that there is a bias toward those um, who are reliable for a conscription. But we see that age has a significant negative effect for immigration that is also logical. And we see that administrative position has a statistically significant and relatively high effect. It's estimated as like 15%. So yeah. If you have that basically mean that if you have an administrative position, your chances to move is like 15% less. We see that Hirsch index measured by Scopus and number of Scopus articles are not significant. I'm sorry, I think it's a problem with with the visualization. So and it's actually quite interesting because like Scopus is much less selective than the Web of Science, and it's something that cannot measure quality, cannot measure your scientific productivity in case of Russia, because when you publish in the core of Web of Science, it means that you preceded a review, and most of the journal that are indexed there, they're international, and there are not that much of them in Russian, while in Scopus, there are a lot of Russian journals. And it actually, you can see that number of Web of Science article is statistically significant, and the effect of the number of articles is about 6%. So our two hypotheses are confirmed in this primarily descriptive analysis. We can proceed to the next slide. Yeah, here we can see difference in the proportions. So on the left, you see the difference in the number of the publications. So like on average, people who migrated after war, they have something about 3 and 2 publications, and those who stayed, slightly less, less, and it's like 1.5 and something. Uh, and it's statistically significant, but of course we have some some issues with the sample, which I think I will talk about in the concluding remarks. So on the right, we can see that in the population of people with no administrative position, people migrated much more than in that population where people actually had it. That is quite visually representative. So the next slide will be on the, yeah, it's some primary literature that we used. And also, let's proceed to the next slide, which is a bonus track. We see that the greatest increase in the migration destinations is to the English-speaking countries. That it's also obvious because United States used to be uh, the primary partner of Russian internationally visible and high quality social sciences, and I think that ties with them are the most close. But we also see that there was a huge immigration wave to like commonwealths of independent states. I think, and it can be attributed that it's relatively easier for Russian scientists to go there, and there are a lot of research on that. And the interesting thing that Europe doesn't have such a huge increase. Uh, and I think that it might be connected to the fact that uh, market of the uh, scientific market of job position is more open uh, for people from Russia if you go to America, and Europe, it's a bit um, a bit more rigid. So yeah, and of course, some of the researchers, they were quite young, and some of them decided to pursue their to continue their academic career with on PhD programs, and there are like established professors in their, I don't know, 30s who started their PhD, and in America it's a bit easier because their programs are more open and you don't have to find any special project that you should join. So I think that we can proceed to the last slide. Okay, thank you. So yeah, concluding remarks. So we show that um, migration is quite quite huge. So, and 10% of the whole population of the social scientists who continued their work can be attributed to the effect of the war. We also show that administrative positions as well as uh, high quality scientific productivity, let's say something like that, is the are two most important factors that um, that um, that raise your chances to migrate after the war. And there are some things that can be improved, and of course, our findings now cannot be considered really reliable because when we started this research, we didn't expect that that many people with the publications in the core web of science wouldn't be researchers. So it raises question of like expansion of our sample or going to like the general population. And yeah, I think that it's mostly everything that I wanted to say. Uh, I hope that you enjoyed the presentation, and I will be grateful for questions and feedback. As as I told, our moderator was not able to join us. So thank you a lot for watching this. I think that I should read this question. Can we expect any meaningful transformation of the global academic landscape as a result of this wave of post-war migration? Um, Maybe, I don't know. There was some research about how American science gained from the inflow of German scientists. And I think that it was a work of Waldinger as well. The how Nazi regime affected uh, science in the United States, and basically the science of the United States is a global academic landscape because it's organized like very in a very asymmetrical manner. So yeah, and when we talk about social science, the general population of the researchers, as I told you, just like uh, about 1,000 and one, well, 100 people. And it will be interesting to study two questions. One of them is uh, if they actually continue their careers, because many of migrated scientists, they found some kind of visiting positions. And it's interesting if they will be able to find any permanent one. And the second thing, of course, yes, is will they bring something new? Because uh, there were also some research on the impact of uni Soviet Union dissolution and migration of the mathematicians to the United States again. And yeah, it affected mathematics like landscape in the United States. So yeah, the I cannot answer if we can expect any meaningful transformation, but I can say that there will be something to study. I hope that I answered this question properly. Okay, if that's all, then okay. So no more question. Thanks for everyone. It was pleasure to present this to the audience. You can write me if you have any other questions. So, thank you for your attention. Bye.